would you list any stocks that you see as good to have for long term? I don't like to do that because we never know long term what the market's going to look like and what the evolution is. That's why I recommend just buying a total market S&P ETF called VU or VTI, which is a Vanguard S&P ETF, which low management fees. Because you're probably putting your money with somebody right now who's charging you 1 to 1.5% to get the same results you could with Vanguard S&P ETF, except you're going to lose 30% of your retirement minimum by the time you retire because they're going to take that away in management fees, while you could be putting it with them and getting 0.03% management fees, but a 1% dividend. So you're making 300% more in dividends than you're losing in management fees. You see what I mean? So like, it is what it is. But as far as long-term stocks, I still think Google, as of right now, as I've been saying for months and years, it's my own personal opinion, I think Google's still the most undervalued of all the Mag 7s. I think cybersecurity is severely undervalued compared to considering how the world's moving completely to cyber. We already got into nuclear and uranium last year. I don't know. The world changes, man. You know, the world changes. So I really don't know that's why I say just buy the total market. Market's always going to go up. Ducky, I'm worried I'm buying the top of the market. Why? Hell, we had 53 all-time highs last year. You know how many times people tell me, oh, I'm so afraid it's the top of the market. And then 2 weeks later, I wish I would have bought. 3 weeks later, fuck, I didn't buy. Should I buy now? I mean, why not? I'll wait for a dip. 3 weeks later, oh my God. Then you finally get one dip, the world loses their mind, and everybody else is trying to sell and thinking the world's ending. We're just fucking buying the dip, right? Because the market's always going to go back up. That's not true, Stocky. One day it won't come back up. Well, then you got bigger things to worry about than your fucking 401k, so just ride it. And like the people who were really worried, during April that were like, yeah, Stocky, I know you're saying buy the dip, but I'm getting close to retirement. You know, what about me? Do your Roth conversion. What's that? Take your Roth. You know, basically you sell the fucking, the gains, move it over from your traditional to your Roth and sell off your, to pay your taxes on it. And then basically you have less, you already paid your taxes on it, 25% down from where it was. You paid your capital gains taxes. So you're getting a 25% discount on your taxes. You're still getting all of your shares converted over to a Roth at the bottom. And then it goes up without taxes. And guess what? They did it. And do you know how many of those people are like, all three of them that watch the show were like, holy fuck, I can't believe that worked. Should I be converting to my Roth 401k into my traditional or some split? That's up to you. I prefer Roth, I prefer Roth Advantage accounts because you get the taxes out of the way now, and so you kind of know what your gains are going to be and you don't have to worry about, income tax and shit like that down the line. But if you are in a position where you want the tax advantage now, like if you're younger and you need the money or you have kids or whatever like that, or you're really like stretching it, then you can always do the traditional, the regular 401k, because then you don't have your tax obligations are down the line and you get to save more of your paycheck. Okay, we already talked about government shutdown. We already talked about a lot of different things. Are you still holding on an MO call? No, I only jump into MO when we see a run on spec and growth stocks and a pullback in divvies when MO drops like 2 to 3%, because I just wait for the next piece of news that scares everybody and that rotation to go back in. Can you look at Eli Lilly again? No, I'm not going to look at Eli Lilly again. Why would I look at Eli Lilly again? You guys are just assholes. That's unbelievable. 1 day later. You want me to do celebrity gossip? That's what you want? You want a celebrity gossip promotion or a segment? Is that what you need? All right. In other news, where was I at? We talked about the private payroll jobs and the big decline in jobs numbers again. We talked about the betting odds on the length of the government shutdown, by the way, guys. Betting odds on the length of the government shutdown. Some streamers aren't going because they don't feel safe. Oh, I mean, to each their own. Obviously, if this was an outdoor event or it was in a place, whatever, I would be more concerned. Because I'm going to be real with you. It wasn't until the whole Charlie Kirk thing that it kind of hit me that things like that are a reality. It doesn't hit you until you kind of like, it's kind of like hits it home. And that, there are people that, you know what I mean? And like, you just forget that you have an impact on people's life, especially when you live stream or you do things in person. And, when that happened, I was like, people would be like, I was like, man, I really got to think about some things. And people were like, what are you worried about? You're not that big of a streamer. You don't do politics. I do money. And if you don't think that there's people out there who may have watched my stream and were in a bad spot in their life and were like, fuck it, I'm just going to take this thing he's talking about and I'm just going to put all my money in it. And it didn't work out. And they didn't like sell, like have a stop loss, or they didn't like risk management. They just went all in and it was a bad play or something like that. They will blame me. And that could really get fucked. Also, when it comes to political things, I don't do too much politics, but I disagree with a lot of people. And I have very, very passionate back and forth with people. And some people take that very fucking personally. And they will hold a grudge. You may not think that that was a big conversation or a big problem, but it could be a problem. And I'm not afraid. I don't have fear like that, but I think about it now because I do have a family, and you just never know, right? When you deal with things that are, especially in today's climate, when it's politics, money, whatever like that, and you have conversations live, right? People will take that. People have parasocial relationships. I don't look at you guys or me as parasocial generally, because parasocial means it's one-sided. I look forward every day to getting up and hanging out with you motherfuckers and shit posting with you and talking crap and trading and talking about the money. And when I go to TwitchCon, I don't go so you guys can meet me. I go so I can meet you guys, right? It's like a very normal thing. But there are some people out there that's very one-sided, and they will watch you every day. And when you say something to them or about them live, they take it like a direct attack on them. And there's a lot of people out there who can't separate that, and it festers. So it's something that I have thought about now that has become real to me. But TwitchCon, no, because TwitchCon, obviously it's indoors. There's a lot of security. There's a lot of, things for entry and stuff like that. And I'm not worried about that. Obviously there's always a risk, but I can't live life without, I can't hide behind, my safety for something like that. Like I'm not against anybody who does,